With me now are Councilman Ronald C. Rice of Newark's West Ward, Deneen Borelli, who is a fellow of Project 21, and Don Gaby, Executive Director of Excellent Education for Everyone. First off, just a quick yes and no from everyone on whether you agree or disagree about the ruling. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
I agree with the ruling.
I disagree with the ruling. However, I think we have to go beyond the ruling now and get to the job of making sure that the schools are integrated. I think what the Chief Justice said literally invited alternative methods of achieving this, and I think that's where the energy and focus ought to be placed.
So if schools can no longer use race in assigning students to schools, how can local districts sort of actively attempt to lessen segregation? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's the problem. I think the justices were wrong in their decision because this was a community-sponsored way of dealing with the situation. The community said that we find this a way that we can deal with diversifying our school district. It was one of many criteria that they used in order to do that. I think it's interesting that when the district started using what they called race-neutral methods when this was first filed, they've now over the last 5 years seen more segregation in the very schools in Seattle that try to use this tactic to diversify. So it was working, and now it's not able to be used as a tool that the community wants.
Do you think they were using this simply as a way to meet quotas, or do you think it was an active attempt to desegregate?
Well, I think, first of all, this is a great day for liberty because now schools can no longer use racial preferences to admit kids into classrooms, and it puts the power back into the hands of the parents, really, and the parents are the ones who would know what is best for their kid, not big government. So they would know what's best for their educational needs. So now that we know that this is no longer an applicable criteria to use race to allow school admissions, we need to bring in other options for parents so that they can get their kid into the school that they need so they can get a quality education.
What about diversity?
Well, diversity, we are a diverse society. We have individuals who may think that we're not, but we are. And just because the color coding of classrooms is what the government thinks needs to occur to educate our kids, it's wrong. They're not placing the needs of the kids at the top of the list.
I think the fallacy, though, in that in that thinking is that many years ago when Brown versus Board of Education became law, the criticism of Brown by a number of conservative folks was that it violates what the community wants, what the neighborhoods say they want their school district to look like. 50 years plus now, later, we're now saying that the program that the community wants is we should take it out of their hands, that now government can say, no community, if this is a tailored way that you have decided that you want to diversify your community, and that's not allowed, that race is not allowed, even though you say race should be one of the factors. It was a very popular program in Seattle among parents.
It seems as if people were not around, as if some of the justices are all youngsters, as if they were not around 20, 30, 40 years ago when students were bused across town, when these sorts of situations did occur then to try and achieve integration. It's as if they were not a part of history. What do you think?
Right. One thing I think we should, at least in my judgment, the judgment of our organization, we cannot give up on the drive to integrate our schools. It is absolutely essential, not only from an educational but from a social point of view. We have to do that. I think the challenge now is we can integrate racially by using other criteria that correlate very closely to race, and then you escape totally the injunction of the court, and they literally invited that. For example, there's a very close correlation in our state between race, socioeconomic status, and academic achievement. If we were to say that we're going to integrate schools by socioeconomic status, and every school has to have a certain number of children who are below a certain level of income or are on the free and reduced lunch program, that per se will achieve integration. Although we're not saying we're doing it by race, we are in fact doing it. Our organization has a lawsuit now against the state and 25 districts. We're arguing that the children in those districts, in those school systems, and those schools, in failing schools, should be allowed to take a scholarship, a voucher, and go to any other school in the state that they want to attend. If we win this, now bear in mind that the children in those schools from our examination are overwhelmingly black and Latino. So when we win this suit, we haven't said a word about race, but we will have been devastated segregation in about 45 of our districts. So there's ways to do this. And I don't think there's any way, even allowing for this decision by the Supreme Court, that they can stop that. We can argue that the children of a certain income status are allowed to take their money and go wherever they want, or we can allow the children who are in schools who are achieving poorly can go wherever they want. In either case, a large number of black children will get power over their money and go where they want. Our view is that the entire state ought to be one district. In other words, in the state of Wisconsin, every child living in Wisconsin can go to any school in that entire state. Why can't we have that?
Next, what impact will the Supreme Court ruling have on the Garden State? We'll find out when Real Talk continues. Stay tuned.